We're live. Divas Book Club. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay, and there's
Penny
Mandy, Queen Leo,
and
aka.
and Penny.
y'all know we're gonna have to get this intro together, right?
That's right now it's to pieces. Okay.
For now, it absolutely works. Thank everyone for joining us. I was on TikTok earlier talking about that we were going live for our the Divas Book Club book of February book of the month. Broken Clocks by Danielle Allen. Penny, how many times did I say that in my live on TikTok? What we was reading and what the book was.
Probably about 10. Probably about 10.
You know, first of all, I here's a confession. I've never went live on TikTok ever. Have you guys ever went live on TikTok?
No,
I have
I
not.
haven't.
Let me tell you, for the first time, you have to. This has nothing to do with the book club, the book discussion just yet, but I want to talk about this because this was interesting and it was funny all at the same time. I had to put in my age and it took a picture of me to say it want to verify that I am the age that I put in, right?
Right.
So it takes the picture of you and it says, okay, if I guess if you look younger than what you put in, it would reject you because you got to be a certain age to go live. That thing immediately put me live, y'all. No cap, for real. I was like, oh, you know, oh, okay, this how this works. It immediately put me in. That's neither here nor there. I'm just saying I went live on TikTok because I wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about broken clocks tonight. I actually invited, believe it or not, Danielle Allen to join this live. I wanted her to, if she have any time like this here, if you have any time on your busy schedule, and I know she's busy, to join in on our very, small book club, whatever, to weigh in. Maybe she will, who knows? But the invitation is out there. If she does, that's great. If not, I still planned on having a great conversation. So back to business. We're Divas Book Club. Our February book of the month was Broken Clocks by Danielle Allen. And tonight is the night that we're going to actually have a book review and a discussion all at the same time. And I think it should be fun. I know it's going to be fun because why, Mandy? Why do I think this is going to be a good discussion?
I think that you're believing it's going to be a great discussion because there were so many I love yous in the story that we want to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about each and every one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It this book, let's go. Okay, so let's use our normal format. For those of you who have never joined our book discussion, we do have a bit of a format. It's loose, it's laid back, but we talk about the synopsis and then we get into our different views, like what we thought, either if you actually had the hard copy book or if you were listening to it via audible or whatever audible service you have. um who want to give the synopsis, because I'm not ready. Penny, do the synopsis, please, in your own words. Give us
The
the
book,
synopsis of Broken
okay,
Clock.
the synopsis of the book was it's a timeless love story.
Mm,
The timeless love story of um right people, wrong time.
right.
But in this particular story, it was wrong time, time and a time again. It just was not the right time for these two people that were meant to fall in love and to be together.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great description of it, because that within itself took me a minute to really get. You know, the way the book starts. I'll go first. I'm volunteering, then Mandy, I want you to chime in too. Man, I first of all, so I do Audible. I subscribe to it. I love listening to audiobooks, and this one technically didn't let me down. It was a great it was great to listen to. The narrator was great. It starts off with, literally, I think what she wanted us to know was why the title Broken clocks. And I didn't get it at first. Literally within the first few minutes of listening to it, it said, because, at least 2 times on the clock, it's going to be the right time. Right. I didn't get it. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. As a matter of fact, when I started listening to this book, it was on my morning walk. I didn't get it. And then it just started to morph into this love story that I didn't think that I would be ready for. And then at the same time, I felt like it's going to be like any other romance novel or love story or whatever. But it was so much more. I'm going to stop there because we're at the very beginning. By the way, people, if you're watching this, there are going to be spoilers. So you may not want to continue to listen. It's going to be some spoilers. We're going to spoil this one. That's what this review and discussion is about. Mandy, pick up.
So yes, absolutely. When they started the book started off with the intent of explaining the clock, strikes twice, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I guess to be fair, I would say that, like yourself, I didn't catch the broken clock aspect, right?
See?
So,
Yeah.
but as the stories picked up, and they had dated a couple of years prior, and then for whatever reason they ran into each other or whatever. I don't know what was keeping them from seeing each other or whatever, but the fire was still there. And so her and her friend was sitting there discussing, the friend was like, go ahead and, get a guy a chance, or, speak to him or something of that nature. And at that point, she sat there and thought about it for a while, but she did eventually reach out to the guy, that night. And sparks flew. It started all over again. And I think that was the first time that, well, I want to feel like that was the clock being right the second time.
The second time.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll see as this develops.
Right. So that's where I got drawn into the story and everything at that point. And so I think that one of the things that, captured my attention was the fact that I was happy that she did reach out to him. You know how many times we don't reach out to people, we see them and we want to say something to them or whatever, and we just let that moment pass us by.
Yeah, and it
happens. It's really true.
Yeah.
Penny, what did you think in the opening?
This is the opening part of the story.
In the opening part of the book, I really appreciate them going back and giving us the backstory about the kind of the name of the book, The Broken Clock, from her grandmother's watch. It really drew me in because it's something very relatable that all women have been through. We've been out with our friends and we have ran into that old flame, and it's there in the back of your mind. The best friend was like awesome because she really, the tension was already there between the two of them, but she really planted the seed. It was like, girl, you should really do this. So I think I'm glad that she did that for her, because sometimes we do need that extra push, even though she did it secretly, but we all need that extra push. But I also don't think she would have taken that step if he would not been under the pretense of him leaving town either. So I don't think she would have actually taken that step if it would not have been known that he was supposed to be leaving. So because in her mind, it was just going to be a one night thing for her, just rekindling that flame for one night, and then it was going to be over. So the opening of it it caught my attention because it's very relatable. We all have been there. We all have, with the intent of it being something short term, and it definitely has turned into something else,
Right.
Yeah. We so have been there, all of us. I think at the beginning, I felt like some books takes a minute to move forward, but this one didn't. This one was, you was like this now. She started this book and it was so great in how she started this book. She, I don't know. It was honestly, I can say a lot about this author, about this book, but I'm going to say this about the way she tells the story. And I think that this is going to be very important. Hi, Tanya. Hey, Diva. You're muted. I know you didn't want to come in and cut me off, but listen, I love how the way this book started, it was like moving forward right off. Because the one thing that will bore me about a book is you ain't doing enough to pull me in. Like you said, Penny, it pulled you in right off. Some books don't work like that. It
And
takes it.
also, it was I wasn't expecting the raunchiness. That took me by
Yes.
surprise. I'm listening because I listen to the audiobook as well. Um, so I'm listening, then all of a sudden it's like I'm like, whoa, okay. So note to self,
It's happening.
don't have it too loud when you pull up in the parking lot. How about that? So I
Yeah.
think that's another thing that may take people by surprise, but also draw them in. It's not just a lot of fluff, as we would say. It's some stuff going on now. It was definitely some stuff going on.
So quick recap, Tanya. This is where we are. We're right now we're in the first few chapters. How the book started off, moving us forward. What broken clocks. I love the fact that Danielle, as an author, gave you the whole, this is the title of the book, and this was the same, and this is what it is. You don't know yet. And that in itself pulled me in because I'm like, okay, so yeah, at least twice a day the clock is on the, it's at the right time. So right now she's pulled us in, she's grabbed us as readers, and she pressed forward. Do you want to add anything to that for you when you first started reading it? Anything you agree, disagree? Anything you want to add in, little Jews you want to throw in? Because I've warned people who's watching this. This is a spoiler. We're gonna spoil the shit out of this.
Um, well, in the beginning for me, I think I start to analyze right away whenever I'm reading. I try to let myself just kind of get in and then enjoy it, but I'm like, okay, trying to figure out the broken clock, how it's going to relate to their relationship, and kind of also trying to understand their relationship, why they broke up,
Mhm.
and all of that. So in my mind, when I'm listening or when I'm reading, especially when I'm listening, not so much when I'm reading, but when I'm listening to it in audiobook, I'm visualizing. I'm trying to see everything, and I think for me, I've kind of gotten away from reading uh and listening now. I like to listen because it allows me to, like, I feel like I see them in action. I can see that. When I was a reader all the time, I saw it, but now, like, listening to it makes me feel like I'm right there in the moment. Um, and they did an excellent job. I did like the narrator. I do that
Yes.
narrator. I've heard her before.
Really?
So yes, she's on quite a few books. I've heard her before, and I mean, I liked it. I liked it from the beginning. It
Yeah.
I was a little frustrated with her though. I don't know if
Okay.
y'all got okay.
Super great segue. That's a super great segue because
Okay.
now we've gotten through the first maybe 1 through 6, 7 chapters or whatever. Like Mandy said, she mentioned, who she was into, but he is moving away. Friend Janelle says, hey, you should hit him up. The one thing I did not expect for her to do was hit him up. Because it's
Okay.
like for her, everything that she described in the first few chapters was, this is it. I've made my mind up. I'm not doing this. And hint, first time, this ain't gonna work. That's the first time. This ain't it. I'm not doing it. And she does it anyway. She hits him up and sort of picks up where they left off. Who seen that coming? Did y'all see that? I didn't see that coming.
But it's like that though. It's like that though. And I understand that. I experienced that before. That because they weren't finished.
And that's the thing. They weren't finished. And I don't think that he would have given her those cues.
Yeah.
When she saw him, because he definitely was giving her cues. I mean,
Yes,
they may
Lord.
not have been verbal,
Yeah.
but for her to feel confident in reaching out to him, now if you were interacting with someone and you got none of those cues that something was still there, it's no way you would text them and say, "Can I come over?"
See?
I feel like that he gave
all
her
of
some
this-
type of cues.
Here's a spoiler. Here's a spoiler. She's sitting there having a conversation with her best friend Janelle, and she's texting him, "What up?" Which, you know, like I did not expect that. Although I'm not saying it don't happen, because it does happen, but she was so at the time adamant about the fact that chapter of her life was closed,
and
she texted him. What?
I mean, she loved the man. You know, they ended because of what?
Well, the circumstances that we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
But still, like that's like me, Penny, coming through and talking to you and telling you about the dude. I'm like, I'm done with him. It's a whole wrap. And you sitting there talking to me like, yeah, girl, well, you know, you should hit him up because you never know what happens. And I'm sitting there texting him the whole time you talking to me. That's what happened.
If you guys don't mind, just a brief disclaimer for myself is that I did read the book. I mean, well, listen to the book as well on Audible. And it's been a little minute because I go through several books in a month. So,
okay.
So do I.
Go back. I want to just touch on something real briefly. Penny mentioned that she did set the tone and the backstory. But what exactly was the backstory? Why did they separate the first time?
Oh,
do anyone recall that?
Penny, you want to tell it or you want me to tell it?
I mean, the reason they separated the first time was due to her lack of ability to have children. That was the initial reason that they broke up.
Thank you.
And that was solely on her part. I don't really feel like he was in agreement with it, but you know, if you don't want to be with me because of this reason, and I'm giving you valid reasons that we should stay together in spite of. So she felt like, you know, she would be kind of shortchanging him by staying in a relationship with him because she was not able to have children.
Right.
So that was her basis of breaking it off with him, because she broke it off with him. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Like I said, I don't feel like she would have ever reached out to him and she didn't feel like that door was still open. The door was still open because he never shut it. She did.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And I think like all the backstory and all the self talk she was having, I think she was trying to convince herself that it was actually over. But I mean, we all know it wasn't.
Also the fact that she thought he moved on. You know, he had Molly. She had been seeing, because I think Molly was like a famous person or blogger or something. But her life, she knew that he had been in a relationship with this model. So she assumed that was what they had was over, right? So, and she kind of somewhat sabotaged relationship. Like you said, Penny, she knew that he really wanted children. And she knew that was something she was not going to be able to give him. So she sabotaged the relationship, I think.
Oh, yeah. For sure, she
sabotaged the relationship.
But we as women, we know when a door is still open and when a door is completely closed.
Yes, we do. I mean,
we
no,
know
but
that.
we do. Like,
So do you feel like she really thought the door was open? I mean, was
Yeah.
closed completely?
Because I feel like he moved to Molly so fast, she knew it was a rebound.
yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I feel like it was the transition between her and Molly was kind of quick. And I feel like the way that she broke up with him, it
Yeah,
wasn't
but
like it was a mutual thing.
so in other words, she knew she can have him if she wanted it, though, if she wanted him.
Yes.
Yeah, I
But she
think
just didn't want to put
the
herself
majority.
through him resenting her later, knowing that she
She could
couldn't have kids.
kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think that time apart allowed both of them to see and understand how deep their feelings were for each other.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And that's
So
the connection throughout the book. So basically we're going to see that more times over than not. That they were connected, had a deeper connection, that, you know, built the story up and got us to where we want to talk about it. And with that being said, what did you guys think about, I guess, how fast they moved after that one night? You know what I'm saying? Like,
That
okay.
connection.
So, wait, because spoiler. She done text him, y'all. She done text him, right? She texts dude, and he goes, "Come through." She comes through, and she's ready, and obviously he is too. So after that night of passion, y'all remember that passion? Now, the next morning, they're up now. Go ahead, Tommy.
What? No. You set it up.
Okay.
So, I mean, they just realized what it was that they were missing from each other. It was just that complete connection. Like, oh my God, you know, it's still the same, not just the sex, but the emotional, the connection that they had, you
Yes.
know, it's still there. How did we let this go? You know, and I really think that, and I don't know how far you want me to go, but are we taking it in segments, like different pieces?
Spoiler. Okay, but segments, but let's talk about this particular segment of the story.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
the
Okay.
build up, the
build up.
Okay. All right. Um, yeah, well then I'm gonna stop there because they just couldn't get enough of each other. And it was like, okay, why did we then it's what happened? How do we get this back, what we had? You know, and then it's like they couldn't get enough of each other. And like Penny said, it was deep. Like it was like they were getting it on and remembering the time they had spent together.
Yes.
And how much they enjoyed each other.
Literally in a moment where, and I don't know if this has ever happened to, any of you ladies, but honestly, there are situations, right? I'm gonna clean this one up as best as I can. But there are situations when you know that you are, you've clicked with someone and you can be apart for whatever time, but when you come back together, it's like nothing ever happened.
It's like you pick up where you left off.
Yeah, no hard feelings, no none of that. Passion.
Yes, you forget all about everything that was in the middle. Yeah. Like you just want to be in the moment.
Yes,
it was breakup sex. But
and we back together.
Get back together. It was get back together sex.
So just think about you breaking up with a significant other, but y'all trying to work it out. So you may say a couple of days to a week. Just think about all of that tension for 2 years, and then you're back with that person. You know, that's fireworks. It's fireworks.
Yeah.
Yes, girl, tell me about it.
I think we should press forward.
I love it.
We're all sitting here like, hell yeah.
So Then in that case, if we're going to move a little bit beyond the book,
Let's go. Now I think
throughout the
we've
book, I
gotten the
should say.
first. I think we've gotten the first like 7 through 9 chapters. Let's move into the night. When they wake up the next morning, he's made breakfast. Oh my God, so great.
So
Great.
no, Jay, that's not going to be 7 or 9 chapters. We're still going to be around 3 or 4, because
Dang.
basically, I like, yeah, it was a lot of things was happening with them from the time span of that one night till they got to the point where they rededicated their love to each other.
They ain't even got they did that in the first few chapters. That was the next morning.
Yeah.
So
That
this
was
is
definitely the next morning before the bomb dropped.
right. So what I'm saying is that if we can go ahead and kind of transition a little bit down through the book,
Yeah.
because we know that they had this magnificent night of passionate love making and all that, and they rededicated their love to each other. So at that point, basically they were back. They accepted the fact that they were going to be together and they were going to be in a relationship. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once they recommitted themselves to each other, then you get the first bombshell that comes into play, which is going to be Molly the model. Did y'all like her name? I thought her name was really cute that
Hell
she had
no.
for Molly.
I
Molly
didn't like.
the model.
Molly the Mop.
Okay, I don't know. Like maybe Danielle did know someone named Molly. I don't know, but Molly was weird for me. But okay.
Name or the person?
No, the name, just the name.
Oh, I grew up with a Molly.
I knew a few Mollys, but
Yeah.
no.
But yeah, so when Molly comes into the picture, with, hey, I'm pregnant. And now what seemed like picture perfect, that, hey, we're putting this back together, we're starting where we left off, everything's great. Then now, boom, here comes this woman saying, hey, I'm pregnant.
I
And
had
it's
a
your,
lot of issues with that.
Oh my God.
I had so many
this segment is gonna be a minute.
with that whole scenario.
the scenario or that part of the story, that situation. Period.
Well, I'm gonna say this. He's saying I always use protection. I don't know how this happened, and I'm just speaking like real life stuff. Like, that's where I am with it. I'm thought processing this.
Yes.
Especially if you're not in a relationship again, the first thing a man would say is,
yes, but
I know mine.
also he was too trusting of the fact that it was his to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he could not have did everything that he did. But that was a little, for me, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you think maybe the writer,
the baby daddy.
You think maybe the writer should have had something a little more about the paternity in there and the proof of paternity?
Yes. That would have been a little more believable, but I also understand why she didn't do it that way, because it would have taken away from what the health issues that was having.
And it would have been too much. It would have been too much.
More on the paternity part. I think it would have taken away from the story of her having to kind of go through finding out her diagnosis alone. You know what I mean? So it would have been more focused on paternity and less on the main character, I think.
I agree. It would have taken too much.
I'd love to speak on this, because remember what I said in the beginning of this, the way she moved us forward so fast with stuff. Like he's the love, they get together, and the same morning they're having breakfast, Molly comes in and Molly is pregnant. I think that was, I don't know, maybe on purpose. I don't know. But the way this story grabs you in and keeps you there, like dead ass in real life. That one night I chose to hit him up and I'm going to spend the night and this is going to happen. And she comes in that day. I mean, maybe it was on purpose. Maybe it was for the purpose of moving the storyline forward.
Because it was so
And,
much
and
more that she had to
yeah,
get in. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe Penny, maybe that was on purpose. I don't know. But you know what? I like it.
Yeah. I feel like there was no other
You
way
got to
to
be very
introduce that.
strategic. You got to
Because
be
doing the
very
paternity test and all of that, it would have taken too much.
you got to be very strategic in storytelling to put that on the front street so that it's realistic and that the reader, us, can be like, yeah, believe it. Because Penny, I know where you're coming from, because my first thought, let's be real. Let's be real as women, right? My first thought that, oh, accepting that right off wouldn't have happened because paternity test, because who knows,
Go ahead. Mandy got a finger up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Mandy, you better chime in. You better say something.
May I?
Because we can run on this.
So, like, the reason I really wanted to get to this segment is that, first of all, she did do a great job of transitioning this story and moving it forward, right? Yeah. And in the defense of, what was his name? Philip? William. I'm sorry. Philip was the older guy that was trying to, I'm going to get to that. So anyway, so basically what I liked was that he was very trusting and he knew that he had been sleeping with that girl almost 2 years. Yeah. What does he look like as a man of his caliber saying that, oh, I need a paternity test? He felt very confident that they were, monogamous in that relationship. So the only thing he could do as a man would say, okay, this is my baby. I'm going to take care of my child. I'm not in love with you. You know what I'm saying? Try to keep it as clear and as focused as possible, just based on the fact that he didn't want it to be messy and he wanted children. And he knew that.
And I think I kind of liked it like that, because that's the whole cliche. When someone says, I'm pregnant, the first thing men do is, well, it's not mine. We wasn't even together. So in a way, I'm glad she left that out. I'm glad she didn't have us because we were supposed to like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a likable dude.
Yeah.
And not only that, I when I was listening, I just never felt that it was necessary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It wouldn't have been. It would have taken away from other aspects that she wanted to focus on. Definitely, if it would have took that avenue, and then also when you said that his position and where he was in his job and in his life, that would have been messy for him to not take responsibility for the child.
Yeah. And again, being realistic is all I'm talking about. Like, with that happening, okay, we can move forward, but I'm telling y'all, in real life, first of all, would Molly have gotten into that apartment that day? Real life.
Would real life what? If what?
Real life. Would Molly have been invited into that apartment with her there, with how things went down? She knows who Molly is. She knows what it is. In real life, would you have been okay with her just coming in and delivering this news, knowing they haven't talked since the last time they got down? And spoiler alert, they had gotten down once before.
Well, you got to look at the fact that now Layla and William hadn't seen each other, hadn't been around each other. So, like you said, that was one night that they were together. And if someone knocks on the door, comes in and say, hey, I'm pregnant, What you gonna get mad for? You ain't been with this man in what, a year, two, or whatever, and
I didn't say
what
I
you get
mean,
mad at him?
you're not going to
Layla,
disrupt. I'm
Layla
sorry.
was like, let her in.
One
Layla
at a
was like,
Like
let
time.
her
she,
in.
One at a
Real
time,
is
life,
that
ladies.
realistic?
real
Is it
life.
realistic?
I would have said exactly. I would have said, "Let me give y'all some time to talk."
I would have, yeah, I would have been out. Yeah.
I would have left. I would have went in the room.
Oh,
Let me give y'all some time to talk.
No,
But
I'm not going nowhere.
because
I wouldn't go there.
if he would have said to me, "It's okay. Let me just talk to her for a minute." If I would have said to him, "Do you need me to leave?" And he would have said no. I would have left.
Penny.
Yeah. I'm not going nowhere.
You're not going nowhere, Penny.
In the room.
I'm not going.
Let her in. Let her in, and we can talk to her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have left. I would have said. I would have went in the room.
No,
Let me give y'all some time to talk.
because I
Man,
need that tea hot and smoking. I need the
Oh,
tea hot.
and
So
she,
I don't need no she said. I need to
his
know that
response.
he
I would have
said.
been listening, but
So
I would have gave them a moment.
here's another thing, though, to be clear, right? To be fair to Molly, she said that she had been reaching out to him and he wasn't responding. So I don't think he had a choice but to let her in because she wasn't going away. She was beating that door down. She wasn't going anywhere.
And she did not beat around the bush.
She came right in. She put it on the table. Like, I know we ain't together, but you know what I'm saying? Hey,
I'm
we got a
pregnant.
situation.
Yep.
And I mean, it was a lot of maturely. I
Mandy.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, she's frozen. But yo,
Oh,
listen.
but honestly, everybody handled the situation very maturely. And I
Yes.
think that speaks a lot for the book.
yes.
It really casts a beautiful light on us as a people.
Yeah, I think so.
There's
Isn't
Because
that great? Isn't that
Even
great?
Molly, aside from her being needy, I think the book was written to show that we can still be we can have a cohesive partnership with the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the righteousness we see on the internet, and it
And
was
in
good
real
to
life.
see everybody, yeah, internet and real life, that we can see
I think we done
people
jumped ahead, Penny.
dealing with things, you know,
No,
in
no,
a
no.
in a in a mature manner for
Yeah.
sure.
No. We haven't jumped ahead because
Okay.
that was a situation that definitely needed to be talked about in this book. How to
So
handle. You done had this night of blissfulness. You get your breakfast. He's there. You're now almost rededicating yourself to each other. And then here comes the bombshell. Your ex-girl is pregnant.
well, they had already did that though. They had recommitted themselves. But here's another thought.
No, they had just did it then during breakfast.
Oh, they
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
There's
They
no
were
there's
this
no debate
close.
about that, if you say. Um, so what I'm thinking is that I do feel like at some point that Molly did still want him. I don't think that like
Yeah.
when she came in and we saying that things was handled very maturely, yes, they were. But at the same time, she was a woman that still desired that man. You know
That's
what
why
I'm
I say I
saying?
felt like we skipped ahead to the cohesiveness. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because in the beginning, when Molly came there, I felt like she was coming back to get her man. Oh, I'm
But she
pregnant,
wanted him.
because she
She
wanted a
just didn't
No,
family.
I
know.
didn't get that. I didn't
She
get that.
didn't know that he had already been taken, and that's why I
Exactly.
said they had already rededicated their love for each other. There was nothing that she was going to be able to walk in and convince him at that point because he already had a relationship in his heart with her. And the opportunity had presented itself for him to have that woman. So if you're pregnant, we can co-parent. But this is the love that I desire. And he already said that, they relationship, his and Molly's relationship was like, I don't know, it was more like companionship style than like being in love and cozy. She was someone that he could have on his side when he had to do his business meetings and family dinners and stuff like that. They just never got to the point that love was actually established. So I'm thinking that she did come there with the intent that she wanted him. She just didn't. Somewhere in that scene, it was shut down. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think she came there to kind of reclaim her man. But when she got there and saw Layla, knowing that was the reason that they didn't make it, was because, you know, I think somewhere in the book they mentioned that, uh, he never made it official with Molly, and Molly had a feeling that he still was hung up on Layla. So I think she came there with the intention of, I'm pregnant and we're gonna get back together. But once she saw Layla there, she knew that it was never gonna happen. So why not drop the bomb?
She had to retract.
Yeah, why not drop the bomb? So it was at that point. I think she kind of knew it was never going to happen between them, but she also knew that she had something that he always wanted, which was a child. So um yeah, I think she came there again. She came over there to get a man. But once she saw Layla, she knew it was over.
Yeah,
He
let me just go ahead. Let me just go
that
ahead and drop my
that
bomb.
we broke up because the reason he never committed to me was because of her.
Exactly.
He wasn't over her. She
No.
knew he was not over Layla. Yeah. Okay, so pressing forward. Let's press forward. Okay, so now the bomb has been dropped. She is pregnant, and as far as he know, it's his. So now, once again, was it me? But did she do this again, Layla? We can't be together.
She did.
Let's go back.
She did. She did the same.
Let's
I
talk
felt
about
like
that.
I felt
Did
like
it again?
she went right back into trying to. I'm not gonna say this time she was trying to sabotage the relationship, but she was. Oh, I can never give you a child. I can never do this. When they had already talked about this, so now she's back at it again. I can't give you what she can give you, and then Molly started to be a little, pregnant, attitude and all, with the whole I need you here and this is what I need. And she probably took
Oh, she
advantage
was
of
over
that
the
too.
top with that,
She
Tanya.
took advantage of it.
She was all in their relationship at that point.
She was.
Just go ahead and finish your thought, but I just want to throw that in there.
No, I mean she was.
A little bit.
She was and Layla knew. She knew. But I think where she started to really irk me was the fact that they had this conversation and he said, this is what I want you. Like, yes, she's having my baby and I want to be there for the baby, but I want you. You're the person that I love. You're the person that I want to be with. She's not the person. Yes, she's having my child and it's what I've wanted. I want a child. But we can do this together. We can do this and we can, but that's hard. That's hard. That's a hard ask.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought for a minute Layla was on to something because I'm like you're saying, that's hard to
That's
to
a
not
hard
be
ask.
able to not be able to give the person that you love the absolute most, your man, a child. I totally get it. And he's
Because
having a
now him
child
and
with
Molly will
someone
always
else.
have this bond.
Right. So that's not something that I'll ever be able to do for you or with you. How does this fit? How do I fit into your life? I'm not gonna lie. I so was like her, honestly, thinking like her, like, no, this is not gonna work. I can't do this. It's
Yeah.
just too much. Like, I love you so much, I'm willing to give you up and let you have what you've always wanted your life. Like seriously. I understood that part. What Penny, what do you think?
Um, Molly was extra for sure.
I knew we was gonna get there.
Layla was Layla wasted a lot of time in her head
Yeah.
in this relationship.
She
She
did.
wasted so, I mean, and this is like foreshadowing things that happened, later in the book, but
Yeah.
she wasted so much time in her head. I think if she would have been more assertive in what she wanted from him as far as how to deal with Molly, I think he would have handled things differently. She was letting him navigate for himself, saying that he loved her, saying that he was going to prioritize her, when
Yeah.
actuality he couldn't, because this was something he wanted so bad, which was a child. I think Layla wasted a lot of time in this book
She did.
in her head.
She
Yeah.
did. Because whenever, first of all, if I decide myself that I'm going to be in this relationship with you while there's a child on the way from another woman, until we establish some ground rules, whenever she call, oh, we going together. She calling us. We going together. We gonna if she's in the hospital, if something's happening and she's threatening miscarriage, we're going together. Because at some point, if we're going to be in this relationship for life, if we're going to do this thing for life, then this is a part of me too. So I'm going to. That way,
Okay.
Molly cannot manipulate my man.
The situation. Yeah. That we're jumping ahead just a teensy bit.
I don't think
Just a
so.
teensy bit. Because that is what gonna happen. And you know what? And maybe not. Maybe you're right, because maybe Layla was really foreseeing things as they were. If I stay with him, damn if I do and damn if I don't. If I do, I gotta deal with her. And I'll be damned. The way that story played out later in the chapters, she did just that. She played him. She was, oh, I need you here to go get me something to eat. What? I don't want to move forward like that. But seriously, now we're in the middle of the book, I think. Mandy, keep me honest. Where are we right now? Because we're talking about the fact Layla has accepted that he's having a kid with Molly. And now, technically, she did decide she's not going to do this. And she doesn't.
So before we transition from into this space, either
Mhm.
one of you guys got anything else you want to add about that?
On what? Oh,
As far as the breakup for the second time. Nothing.
Like I said,
no.
I think Layla just wasted time.
Yeah.
He had already like told her that he loved her, and that, they loved each other. That was solidified before Molly, came over with the news. He had, told you that it was always you. And I feel like she was wasting time. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's crazy how the universe works when you transition to the next part of the book, that she still had to end up being around him for work. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
if she would have just been honest with herself and stayed, then that transition period of, okay, you deal with that, I'm not going to deal with this, I'm blocking you, I'm doing this, no communication. That
Yeah.
was time wasted, because you end up being around this man anyway.
Yeah. So what happens is she's done. It's not going to happen. She's going to move forward with her work, because we didn't talk about this, but they work together. They met.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
No.
They was
Well,
working on a
together
project,
to work on a project
together.
So
Yeah,
here's
they were in the same
that's where
company.
we're weighing into the transition, because they started, after they broke up, they was drawn back together with the project, because when they broke up, he was going to PA or wherever, um and it was a big promotion on the line for him and things of that nature, right? And so she
Mhm.
got promoted to a branch manager or whatever it was, project manager. And so that's how they became reconnected. But before we get real deep into that, I like that transition as well. That was a nice transition,
Yeah,
how she brought them
yeah.
back. That the
Mhm.
broken clock, right? Back to the title of the book.
And what's that
It
saying? A
it
broken
happened.
clock, at least 2 times, it's gonna be
It
on.
happened. She,
Yeah.
she's taken this promotion, and um there's been some significant time, but it wasn't a lot, because all this stuff happened within a year from the way I feel about it, right? I feel like it was a year. So basically, uh he left, he went and did what he had to do. He decided that he was going to come back to the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
DC or whatever. Um because of course the girl is there pregnant, and that was just going to be a safer space for him, and so forth and so on. And then she gets this promotion, and the thing that tickled me the most in this book, I loved it, and I'm probably jumping ahead now because I just got a little tickled, but his boss, was in there. He was admiring her, and he was, checking her out and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
Yes.
And it lost me because he never really said anything or pursued it. But then as I listened again today, I paid attention, right?
Right.
He knew that he was fascinated with her. Did y'all pick that up at any point in that book?
Yes,
Yes.
I totally did.
Yeah. So yes, I just loved it. I loved how she lost her composure. That would have been me. Oh my God. Sitting in the meeting, and the love of my life is just walked in the door. How am I supposed to act? What am I
Right.
supposed to do? How would you act?
I felt something about that. I thought something was going to happen, but again, Danielle Allen as an author and telling the story definitely caught me totally off guard. That had nothing to do with absolutely nothing. Can y'all
Nothing.
agree? Can
It
y'all
just
agree?
it's just
It
how
didn't.
she just blended that in the story. What do you think, Tanya? Did I leave something out?
No. I think it was insinuated a lot that the guy really liked her and he was really digging her. Um, but he didn't really pursue it. And I think that was done on purpose because it would have brought too many variables to the story.
Would have been messy.
It would have been messy. It would have brought too many variables. And what I think the author wanted us to focus on was that it was a love story about these two individuals, and they had two things to overcome. They had the cancer to overcome, and then
What?
they had the baby.
Wait. We ain't got to the cancer yet. See now,
I
spoiler alert.
I understand,
Spoiler
but okay,
alert, Jay. You
so
missed
then
out.
okay, so then we already know that one obstacle they had to overcome was the baby.
Right.
Okay, and I think that knowing as the author, as Danielle writing the story, she wanted to make sure she didn't introduce too many intricate details that would make it messy. I think she didn't want a messy story. She wanted to be, I felt like she wanted it to be just a straightforward story with a little bit of of us trying to figure out, are they going to be together? Are they going to overcome the fact that he has this baby with this other woman? And she just didn't want to introduce a whole lot of other stuff. And I appreciated that about it.
Excellent. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true. That's true. I think that's why I don't think the question of the paternity of the child ever was
It
introduced.
would have made it too messy, too Tyler Perry, you know?
It would have made it messy.
Yeah. And here's the thing though, don't get me wrong. When you read stories, some of us look for different types of feelings, situations. Like, should I be angry now? Should I be whatever now? Whatever. But honestly, Danielle as an author really kept it like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of this and a little bit of that at a time. Now, if you wanted to be messy, like in the beginning, finding out Molly was pregnant, that could have been messy, seeing as how that you guys just got back together. And then now, moving forward, she's done. Layla's done. And so now let's move on. And honestly, like, man, you was talking about old dude at the job. Like, I'm like, oh, she's about to move on. You think that that's what's about to happen. That's not what's happening. Do you know how great of a writer you have to be so that I'm not even guessing and you're not, like we always do with movies, like we always do with certain storylines for authors. Like, that's not what's about to happen. It's about to get deeper.
Right. Because you know what?
And so-
In my mind, Janelle, I was thinking, you know what's about to happen at first? I was thinking
What?
just like Penny was thinking about the whole paternity. It's going to end up not being his baby and they're going to live happily ever after. And, but then I was like, okay, we're actually going here. We're actually going here. So now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's about to play out. And the way it's going to play out, is it going to play out like I think? No. They work at the same job. Spoiler alert, people. They work at the same, and correct me, y'all. Project. She gets put on a project that's going to move them. That's going to have her work in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken, and which is the same project that he was already on.
So yeah, I think she worked for an advertising agency.
Yes,
and they were doing the advertising for his company, which was a construction company, I do believe.
Yes.
So yeah, they were going to have to work closely together on the project. But like I say, it's just crazy the way the universe works. When she was also done after Molly came in and announced the child, how they were brought back into each other's space.
Again, broken clocks at least twice. That time is just right. Because what just happened here? Because the boss says, hey, you're going to be working with this guy on this project. And it's him.
But guess what though? Did y'all notice? I loved her friend. What was her name? Danielle or whatever.
Janelle.
So as soon as she called her on the phone and told her they were going to be working on the project together and she goes home and starts packing, and she got all.
She got what?
All this sexy lingerie in the suitcase.
That was one of my favorite parts.
That would have been me all the way. Like, oh yeah.
Yes, like why you put all this sexy stuff in here? You can't let him know you came there to get some.
Yeah, I respect
opposite. It's always opposite. Janelle was the one that said, hey, yeah. And then she's the one like, no, don't be too easy.
Yeah, don't look desperate now. You take some sexy underwear and put under your clothes, so when you take your clothes off, you can reveal sexy. But don't be taking no lingerie there. Come on.
I loved it. I thought that was so freaking awesome because I personally, I don't think I probably would have been in there, specifically putting these things in my suitcase, but I don't think I'd have left home without it.
She was going to get it. She was going to get it.
She knew it wasn't over. She knew it wasn't over. She was expecting to rendezvous with him, like in the back of her mind. That's why she was packing these items. She knew it. She knew they weren't done.
Yeah.
Let a woman listen to this particular conversation and say you've never been in that situation where you know and you act accordingly. I didn't think anything was wrong with that. I didn't think anything was weird about that. What threw me off, Tanya, was Janelle. That's the best friend that was saying, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You encourage me, like even for
What my friend Janelle would have said.
gonna pack that bag just right.
Pack that
Listen,
bag.
Pack that bag just right,
my friend would have said, "You don't need no lingerie, baby."
You don't need nothing. Not if you're going to get your man back.
Yeah. Oh,
y'all
my
stay
God.
there. Y'all
Okay.
dwell on that for a minute. I
Go
gotta
ahead. Okay.
step out for a
So
brief moment.
let's press forward. So now they're on the same project. Molly's probably about 6-7 months pregnant. They're working on the same project in Philly. Penny, help me out now. Oh wait, Penny done went away. Tanya, help me. Tanya, help me out.
I'm here.
Oh, you there? Okay. So they're working on the same project. She's pregnant. They're pressing forward. He asked her out. He asked her, let me start with this. Spoiler alert. Let's just at least be friends. Because honestly, y'all, William was in love with her.
He
in
was.
love with her.
And he
It
was
was
willing to
only-
have her in his life
Yes.
in whatever capacity that he could have her in.
Yeah.
He was willing to be her friend just so he can keep her in his life.
Yes. Yeah.
But the
And
thing about it that was so crazy was that he was, yes, he loved Layla. He wanted to be with Layla. William was climbing the mountain the whole story almost up until the end.
Yeah, so let's get on. Let's move on forward.
Oh, like when he left in the middle of the night, to go be with Molly, she called. And so Layla's done again at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you left me, you didn't call me, you didn't contact
Because
me.
the communication, now I felt like he owed her that, especially after he already told her. After she already said,
to me, she made it so. When
easy.
we're together, when we are together, we're together, and when we're not, we're not. That's where I felt like Layla messed up a little bit. It was like if you would have put your foot down, if she would have put her foot down the night in the apartment when Molly showed up, this is my man, we're together.
Yeah.
She didn't do that. She was out again.
But at the time, that wasn't her man, the state claimed.
Baby, it was her man 2 years ago when she left him.
Yes.
I mean, William was always hers. She just kept pushing him away.
But honestly, and we're doubling back just a little bit, just for a second. I don't think that was her man. I don't think that was her man, the state claim. That was one night. It was one. You're just rekindling this fire.
Like, yeah, I don't really think that he was her man until until she got mad and she was like, okay, that's it. I can't take it. And when he came back and he said, let me show you that you are the one. And when he showed her,
yes,
that I don't want nobody but you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you in words. Let me show you. And he showed her.
Yeah.
And that's when the tables just kind of turned a little bit. Because he was like, you know what? I don't want to risk losing you. Now I really understand that I can be a dad and I can be there for Molly and the baby without neglecting you. You're my priority right now. And when he made that plain, that is when he became her man.
So can I ask you guys something?
Catch everyone up. This is after they're working on the project, and he asked her out for a date, and then during that date, that's when he said what Tanya just said.
Yes. which we transition into. Well, I don't know if can we move on to the second obstacle they had in their life.
Right, because
Yeah.
this is
Let's do
actually
it. Because it's time.
where
Because that comes up. That comes up
Yeah,
during
because
this time.
what's going to happen is we're going to keep revisiting all of the other stuff. We need to talk about
Let's
what's
do it.
ahead. Mandy.
All right.
once he confesses and says that he's ready to, be her man and be a father at the same time, he wants to co-parent, then she has her story that she has to share with him, that what's been going on with her during this breakup period.
Yeah.
And it was I think, again, well written, how she transitioned into this young lady having being diagnosed with cancer. She already knew that from a young age that she was, she found out that she was most likely wasn't going to be able to have a child. And from that issue that she had in her youth or her young adult life, transition into cancer becoming prevalent in her life. I was very heartbroken because when she got the phone call, and I was very hopeful. And I'm just that's who I am in real life. I was like, oh my God, she is gonna have a baby. Praise the Lord. I was disappointed. There were some disappointments for me. How did you guys feel about that?
So I knew when she went to the doctor, the lady examined her. She actually gave her an exam. So that knocked that out the box, because giving her an exam, she should have saw that it was a pregnancy. So I knew that it wasn't pregnancy.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped with the heartbreak on that part. But when they told her that she had, what was it, cervical cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they told her that, I knew that it was going to be something like that. I didn't necessarily know that it was cancer, but I knew it wasn't going to be a baby, because she was in the doctor's office and the lady examined her thoroughly.
Right. Just to interject just one moment. I don't mean that once she went and seen the doctor. I'm really thinking about what led her to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And she
the
was
bloating
going
and
over
all of
her
that.
mind, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I was very hopeful for her.
Okay.
Then of course, after she got in there and they started examining her, and it went to further stages, then
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm glad that the author did not drag it on. Like, she found out, she didn't keep it from anybody. She told her parents, she told her best friend. I really like that, because in some books the person is trying to hide it, don't want anybody to know, because they don't want to make a big fuss about it. But she told them immediately, and I really like that about the book, that it wasn't some guessing game. Oh, what's wrong with her? And she told them right away. And then even after, yes, she kept it from him. She didn't tell him right away. However, the moment they met face to face, she told him. And I think that was really good. I'm glad that part wasn't dragged out.
I'm sorry. She told who? Because she didn't tell William.
No. After she told her parents, and she told her friend, and then whenever him and her met again, she told him that. He was like, "What's going on with you?" And then she did tell him she'll tell him later. But then
that was my problem.
It wasn't dragged out though, because sometimes books there is dragged out, and then you don't know until the person is gone, and then it's like, okay, she didn't tell me.
But there was a part of this book where it was dragged out, because she could have been open and honest with William to begin with, what she was going through. Why didn't she?
Because they
Well,
what
I think that the reason, like we just talked about earlier, was the messiness and her drawing the separation out.
Yeah.
I think if she would have told him initially when she found out, that was like right. It was what, like the next day when he had left her and went to Molly, because Molly called him in the middle of the night. He was supposed to come back to the
Yeah.
hotel room. He didn't come back. He left and saw Molly.
I'm
The
kind
next
of
day
glad
he
you
went
didn't
to the
know.
doctor.
I'm kind
The
of
next,
glad you didn't know then, because you got this baby and then now you got the
yeah,
woman out there with
exactly.
him.
It would have made it really messy. It
It
would
would
have
have
made
made
it
it,
really, really
because
messy.
then would have had to choose. And I'm glad that she wrote it the way she did. Because
Yeah,
then
it would have been messy.
Was it
I,
realistic? Like
I,
you can sit there and go through something and say you love someone that much and you are not willing to tell them what you're really going through.
I,
I
I,
don't I
I
don't see
feel
that as
like
realistic.
this what I saw that was very realistic in the book was that she had a support system.
Oh yeah.
She
yes, she
had
did.
people in place that she didn't have to disturb his life.
Yeah.
That's right.
True.
She was in a place where, the support that she needed, it was there. It was
Yes.
readily available and she took advantage of it. She wasn't afraid to, you know what I'm saying, let
Mm-hmm.
people embrace her and be there for her. And I saw that as a like a milestone for people. We all have things that we go through throughout life, and you need a support system. You need somebody to be in your corner without burdening the person that know that would just drop everything for you and they'll show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to throw everybody's life into turmoil and or I'm this needy person, whatever it looks like. You know what I'm saying? She was strong. She was a very strong woman to get on that phone and call her parents. That
Yeah.
shit broke me down. Excuse my French. I was like, oh my God, she got to call her
And her
parents.
friend, but
You
like you
know,
said,
and her friend
that
showed
support
up.
system,
Her friend was a
that
friend
support
throughout the
system is
entire
something.
book.
And
Yeah.
two, Mandy, they were unencumbered. They were
Yeah.
unencumbered. He had the baby going on. Molly was already pulling on him. You know, I just feel like you said, I got my mom and dad, I got my best friend. And when the time comes for me to tell him, I'll tell him.
Yes. Because that
You
was
know,
going to be another moment in life. You know what I'm saying? That was another broken clock moment. Remember that.
Yeah.
it wasn't the
Um,
right time.
it showed up so much
No,
throughout that
and
book.
that's my whole thing. Like I get the whole synopsis of this book. But when you're dealing with your own, you know, inevitability like that, I, I'm, I'm thinking different. Like I would have told him to begin with, just like she told her parents, just like she told her best friend. Like that ain't something that. I mean, yes, we know what he was going through with his own baby mama, but if someone has already declared their love for me, this is just a bump in the road, technically. You know, why not go ahead and share right then? Because to me, that could have saved a lot of time and effort. To me, and I'm again reading this book, and in the way it was written was great. But when I think about realistic things and situations, that's not one you play with. Not your own surmise. No, it's just not.
And you know what? And I think that
I can't remember
I
if they
think
were
that
talking.
Huh?
say again, I'm sorry, Tanya.
I can't remember if they were, and I can't remember like what part were they even talking at the time when she
Yes.
exactly found out
No,
about her having cancer.
that was
Okay.
during the
So
breakup period.
Yeah, well, they were talking, and then he left. He never
yeah,
came to her hotel room that night.
yeah, yeah,
He was supposed to go and talk with the coworker, and then he just never came back, and then she
yeah.
never heard anything from him. In that lapse of time was when she got the call from her doctor, we need for you to come in, can you come in? So she's thinking
Yeah.
about that. He didn't show up at the meetings
Right.
that day.
That
So
day.
it was kind of in limbo. She didn't know what was going on.
So it really wasn't the right time to have that conversation that, hey, I got cancer.
No, but she didn't know. It was a situation where he had left. He was supposed to come back to her because they again rekindled that fire because they're working on this project and they rekindled that fire. And he was like, I'm coming back to you. I've got this meeting and I'm coming back. She gets the phone call from her doctor that says, hey, you need to come back to the office today.
Right, right.
So
No,
she
he
has to
got the
drive
phone
X amount of
call.
hours.
Actually, Jay, he got the phone call from Molly that prevented him from coming back, period. And he took off and went back to the city.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something worthy of discussing. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that.
You mean the early on of Molly being petty?
No.
Yeah, let's talk
Let's
about
talk
it.
about whatever the situation was that drove him to pack up, drive home, and not even call her, contact her, text her, anything.
Well, the
Now,
situation was they
at
thought,
that point,
yeah,
I did see some signs of weaknesses in that relationship because there shouldn't have been anything that prevented him from letting her know that he had to take off.
right.
I
Especially
felt
after he
like
just told her
I mean,
that that
we
wasn't
all
going to
know
come in
how men
between them.
are. We all know how
Yeah.
men are. Now, your
Yes,
man, your man will not tell you something if
to not
he's
disturb
gonna
it.
upset you.
But leave
But
altogether
upset
and not
because they
tell her?
were they had kind of rekindled, but he knew that if he, after the fact, after calming down, after getting there and realizing that it was not as serious as Molly had portrayed it to be, I've
right.
already left you. I'm not in town. You're calling me. I'm not answering the phone. He's trying to get his mind together. How am I going to explain this to her?
But Penny, that went on for a couple of days. That wasn't like
He
um
didn't know what to say. I just think he didn't know what to say. He was wrong. He knew he was wrong. Number one, he didn't
and
know what to
he
say.
admitted that. He did admit that. I
He
got
didn't know
that
what to
part.
say.
But I just didn't, if we're talking about story writing and maybe this not being the perfect love story, there has been some moments in the book that they weren't perfect, but in that moment right there, you just solidified something in this relationship with me. I don't know, as a woman that it would have made sense to me. It just didn't, it wouldn't have made me, there would have been, like, at that point, they pretty much just broke up all over again. You see what I'm saying? Like, because he got a situation, now she got something bigger than his situation happening to her life. And yeah, it gets real tricky. That's where the broken
Very,
clocks have to come into play and bring us back. You see what I'm saying?
but very, very tricky. But why not be honest the entire time? Like, I mean, okay. Let's
I don't think he
move.
wasn't being, I don't
Let's
think that
move to the real
his
world.
I don't
Real
think that his
world
intentions was to
situations.
be
Real world situations. Like I was saying, if you find out, okay, I have cancer, and this is an extreme moment for me. He doesn't know how to handle Molly because he don't want to mess it up with her. I get that part. Like that, whatever. But next day, like when we talked, you would have known. Why drag
but
that
they
shit
didn't
out?
talk the next day.
They talked.
No, they did not talk the next day.
They talked. They talked because she asked him, "What took you so long?" It wasn't like a 2 days or 3 days or a week. No, they talked the next day. She wanted to know, what is it that kept you away from talking to me? I had been calling you all day. They talked.
I don't think it was the next day. I
I'm
don't.
trying to remember, was it the
I'm in my
next
It
day?
mindset.
was
I
the next day.
visualize that it was a couple of days.
I'm
No.
thinking, okay, if we look at the timeline, okay, they came back to the hotel. He was supposed to go and talk to his coworker.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the room, she lay down and fell asleep. He never came back. She looked at the phone, he didn't call her. Okay. She gets the call from
The
the
doctor.
doctor. Then they go through the whole day of the lectures or the meetings. He's not there.
Yeah.
She drives back into the city,
Yep.
and then she goes to the doctor's office, and then they take her
Mm-hmm.
to the hospital, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then she contacts her mother and
Family.
father and her best friend.
Hmm.
They do the procedure.
No, they scheduled the procedure.
They
No, they
didn't do anything
actually the
that
same day.
No,
evening. I thought they did something that same evening
They
because it was
did.
really fast.
they scheduled it.
I think they did the biopsy that day.
The
Mm-hmm.
biopsy.
And yes, they did. When she came in, they moved immediately. They
Okay.
explained what was happening, her diagnosis, and they felt that it was necessary to move immediately. So they went into the biopsy, and then they had to wait for those terms and conditions to come back. I mean, well, the result,
Okay.
should I say?
Okay. So that's when she called her best friend, her
Uh-huh.
parent. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Penny.
So, after that, I
We
don't.
still didn't
It
hear
may
from
have been a
him.
couple of days. It may have
Yes,
been maybe at least a day before she talked to him.
it was
Okay.
either
I
it
think it
was
was
because
a
what
day.
it was, she was calling him and texting him, and he was not responding because he didn't
Okay.
want to hurt Molly's feelings or make Molly feel a certain kind of way. So it could have been a day or two, it could have been a day, it could have been 2 days, whatever it was. He did not respond to her in what I feel like was a timely manner, just based off of the fact that we just went into the melting pot. You know what I'm saying? We just came out of the melting pot.
Mm.
So what's happening here? And of course, by that time, all she can do is focus on her health, because as a
Yes.
woman, that's what I would have did as a
Yes.
human being. I ain't got time to worry about somebody that ain't got they issues is not my issues. I want to live. I
Right.
want to focus on life. And I think that somewhere along the way, he finally picked up her call, because she was calling him and he wasn't answering. And
Well,
when
he
he
did
finally,
say Molly had hid his phone
yeah,
or
that's what
hid
she
his
said.
phone
She
Yeah.
said
or
that she hid
something.
his phone.
He did say that. So
Yes.
maybe,
I forgot. She did.
yeah, I think he did say Molly had
Jennifer.
taken his phone or hid the phone or something.
She did. He said that she did take his phone and hide his phone because she wanted all of his attention, and that was her overall goal. Not to say that Molly was this perfectly mature like woman,
Please.
because she was petty.
Petty
She
from the
showed,
beginning.
Layla did not, her reasonings and how she felt about her was not, undeserving, because the girl was doing things. You know what I'm saying? She was calling him. She was interrupting their private, they one-on-one time. she did a lot of things to try to manipulate that relationship. But in order for us to move on and transition,
oh yeah, because
so she definitely, you know, when she gave him the information about her health and stuff like that, I think that that's where we saw the true meaning of the
love
relationship.
and love. We can go around.
That,
I can start. I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna talk about the storyline. Then I'm gonna talk about how I felt listening to it. I was over it. Yeah. I wish that I could say that I felt differently. I was over it. I was over it. I stopped around chapter 14, 15 and called Mandy and was like, bitch, I've cried enough. This cry is
it's too much.
I'm gonna pause crying because I'm over it now. Great storyline, yo. If Danielle ever look at this, because this shit will be posted publicly, I want to say she's a great authoress. She is. But let me tell you something. These cries, after a while, because of real life, I'm over it. And I was over it. Dead ass. I'm gonna be 110%. I'm over it. And I told Mandy, I just gotta finish these next couple of chapters. And I know the shit is gonna take a time. And I'm not ready. And I don't want to, but I'm just gonna dive in and do it. And honestly, let me tell y'all what I was doing. I was washing clothes. I was doing laundry on Valentine.
So I wanna say something too, because Janelle, she reached,
Yeah.
we had a conversation. We had a real conversation. And the real conversation was and this is definitely at Danielle Allen. I need to say these things like I was so like, this book is so freaking mushy. You know what I'm saying? Like it was mushy to me in the terms of all the tears I done flowed and all the like every conversation that they had with each other. It started with "I love you," you know, before they transition into whatever they wanted to say to each other. I had never heard "I love you" so much in my whole life. Like I feel love right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So, you know, with that being said, by the time Jay and I are having a conversation, we are vibing. We feeling like the same type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, this is interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is there so many "I love yous"? And I told her, I said, maybe this book was written for a younger genre, you know what I'm saying, group of people or whatever. And so I think that's kind of like where we left our conversation. But by the time I finished the book and we had another conversation, I was like, yo, I'm gonna have to recant. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to go back. So, and that's a great way for us to segue into
the ending,
the last chapters of the book. Anyone want to take height on that?
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Well, without giving up the ending.
Give it up.
Okay. So I knew, okay, when she survived her cancer. And the whole, oh no, you go to the store. Oh no, I'm gonna go. Oh no, I'll go, and all of that. That pretty much let me know something was going to happen with whoever was the person that went to the store. I knew exactly what was about to happen, you know, and I kind of braced myself for it. And when she finally, it was revealed that she was the one that was going to go to the store, I said, now she beat cancer and she's about to die in a car accident. Something's about to happen.
Oh, wow, Tanya. Oh
I
my
thought something
God.
different. I thought something different. Was
I
their
knew
perception.
something was going to happen. That this was a pivot
I
moment
knew
in
it.
the book, but I personally, and I will talk about this after when we wrap this up, right? But I never would have imagined that she would allow her to die after she beat cancer. That's
I knew it. It was, I knew because everything was happy. Everything was cohesive. They was raising the baby together. They had a nursery at their house. They had learned to co-parent. Her and the girl Molly was getting along. Everything was great. And when they were talking about, oh, I should have, we got to go. The baby doesn't have. I forgot what they went out to get. Was it the Pampers,
diapers.
diapers? And
Yeah, she was just going to get
she was
diapers.
going to get diapers.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were going back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh no, I want you to get some rest. Oh no, I want you to do, that back and forth let me know then that something tragic was going to happen. I knew it. I knew it. And the whole funeral and him talking or doing the eulogy or doing the part, of the eulogy and that. I'm like,
It was a lot.
it was a
Well,
lot.
I'm gonna be honest. The pessimist in me, the optimist in me, I'm, I
Which
wanted.
one, Penny?
I'm the optimist, not the pessimist.
I
I'm
know.
the
Okay, the
optimist.
Optimistic.
Right.
In me
Mm-hmm.
was when everything was going well. The baby's there. They're co-parenting well. Everything. I felt that it was gonna go and what was the baby's name?
Deuce.
Junior. It was Deuce Junior.
Deuce.
Deuce.
Well, Deuce means
Deuce.
junior. Juice means
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he was William the Second because his dad was a junior, so it was
right.
William the Second. William the Third, William the
No, it was
Second,
Deuce. He was the second.
William the Second. So I thought it was gonna progress a little when he was a little older, and that I actually thought the cancer was gonna come back. That's what I thought. I knew she was gonna pass. I did know that, but I thought it was going to be the cancer
More natural.
at a later date. That's what I thought. I
Mhm.
thought it was
We didn't have all that time.
she was gonna have
We didn't
time
have all that time. I looked at the chapters to see how many chapters we had left or where we were. We didn't have no
and
time.
I was just listening. I was just listening to the story. I wasn't really paying attention to how many chapters it was. I'm just listening. So I thought it was gonna progress, and then she was gonna. I knew she was gonna pass, but I thought it was gonna be the cancer again. I didn't think it was gonna be a car accident. But as I go back to state again, I think a lot of time was wasted in her and her thoughts. I really do. If you think about how quickly she passed once the baby was there. If you go back to the beginning in the 2 years that she wasted after she broke up with him.
Yeah.
If you go back, like hindsight is 2020, if she would have never broke up with him, thinking that they couldn't have a future because she couldn't have babies, number one, he wouldn't have ever been with Molly.
Well, it wouldn't have been a story if they were still together.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're thinking about in a timeline, if she would have never broken up with him in the beginning, that 2 years that they were broken up,
Yeah.
Molly wouldn't have came about. The baby wouldn't have came about.
I think
And
she
they would
wasted
have
a lot
been
of
so far in their relationship when the cancer came about.
You have a point. You actually have a point.
I think when the time was wasted was when she couldn't get out of her feelings, her own head, like you said before, Penny. When she couldn't get out of her own head, when she found out there was a baby, it was like she stayed stuck. Even though this man kept telling her she was the one, she was the one. She stayed stuck in her head so much about Molly getting her time and Molly manipulating the situation. Like you said before, put your foot down. You tell him exactly what you need and what you want in the matter. But I think at that point too, he really wasn't trying to listen. It was like, okay, well, she's the mother of my child and I'm going to be there for her regardless. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to be there for her until he realized, remember he said, you know what? Just because she's carrying my baby doesn't mean that I have to be at her every beck and call. She has her mother with her.
But that was at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I think that what Penny is saying is that, like, if they never had the interruption in their life the first time, the time wouldn't have been wasted. They would have had opportunity to, then there may never been a baby. There may have never been a reason to go out for diapers, you know, those type of things. And I know that we shouldn't really look at life like that, but you know, we do. We woulda, coulda, shoulda. But what I want to say is, I would have liked to seen the book in order for it to be a magnificent love story for me. I would have loved to seen them marry, co-parent, be the best couple, and she be the best stepmother to that child that she could possibly be. She beats cancer. All those things is like in my spirit is where I live, that space I live in. And it didn't happen. And so I was very saddened by that because I think there was definitely a lot of different options for a different ending. And at the end of the day, spoiler alerts, just throw it out there because this book is, I think this book was done in 2021 during COVID. If you haven't read it, we recommend you read it. But listen, the truth is on the table today.
So do we want to actually spoil it and say what happens in the end, or are we the type of
we don't have to? I think it's already been said. Actually, I really feel like it has.
We said a lot of things in details, but we did not talk about what really happened in the end. And I don't think we should. I think for the sake, I agree. This is a spoiler alert. If you've come this far listening, read it. Get into it like we did. I don't think we should go because the trust and
don't have to.
That ending is a twist and a turn, and you're not ready for it. Penny, was you ready for it?
No, I wasn't. I mean, like I said, I thought something else was going to happen. Something else was going to transpire. I didn't think that was going to happen. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, I definitely, I even when I had to go and reposition myself, but before I go there, Tanya, go ahead and tell us. So, what did you think of the ending? Do you think that it was a worthy cause, or would you have liked to seen something different? Or
I'm sorry, you said repeat your question.
We're gonna, we're at the end of the book now. We're at the story, and we're not gonna that topic. We're gonna leave it off. But would you have wished for a different ending? Was you satisfied with the ending? Did you expect something different?
I think I was satisfied with the ending.
Oh wow! So why do you say that?
Because okay, so I was just. I didn't feel like anything else could have happened. They were either going to be this happy family where they co-parent this child,
or not.
And so how else was she going to end it? Because if they had been a happy family and ended it all, like you said, you felt y'all guys, it was I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, all these I love yous and all this, cohesiveness. That's what she was building it up for. It was like a love. They were so in love. They were now Molly was bringing the baby over. Molly was coming to the house and dropping the baby off and telling her that she needed a girls' night out. And that was the happiness. She showed us that. She showed us that they had begun to co-parent. She showed us that. And so she showed us a glimpse of that. So why keep that going? Otherwise, y'all would have been back at I'm over it.
Every single time.
So I feel like she had to end it at some point, and how better else to end it than for something tragic or for something. We had saw the cohesiveness. We had saw, you understand what I'm saying? We had saw the happiness, the co-parent, Molly moving on. Molly wasn't bothering them anymore. We saw that.
I beg to differ. Molly was constantly being bothersome until William walked in and heard Layla talking to Janelle and was telling her how bothersome she was after they got married. So
I'm talking about the end. We're talking about the end, though.
This is the end. They got married. They were married now.
Yeah, but you're talking about the part where she was talking to Janelle and she was telling Janelle how bothersome she was, and he was standing on the side of the door and she looked up and saw him, and then he was like, that, okay? And he told her that, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. And then she was like, okay. Yeah. So all of that was the turning point. That was the turning point where he finally said, you know what? I don't have to be at her every beck and call. She has her mom. She has this, blah, blah, blah. And then they went on. Remember when Molly brought the baby over there, and she was ready to give them the baby because she was going to have a girls' weekend out or girls' night out or whatever. That to me lets me know, because she had her moment with Layla, and Molly had their moment. So that lets me know, because when she said, you're beautiful. You look so pretty.
She had a glow. It was something
you got
different.
A glow about yourself.
She moved on because she moved on. I'd love to I know. Okay, so we only have 15 more minutes.
Okay, so to me, that lets me know right then that they were doing okay as a unit, all four of them and the baby. Now they've come to some type of cohesiveness, common ground. So to me, that was the happy medium. They came to the point where they were able to get along. And then the store thing, all of that happened. So I feel like I was fulfilled in knowing that, okay, she was able to accept Molly and the baby. They were doing good in their marriage. Because at this point, keep in mind now, that baby he was a little bit over 1 at the time when that happened.
Yeah, about 1. Yeah.
So they had already came to the good part of their relationship. And she told him, remember, I love you and I love him as if he's on my child as well.
And just side note, let's step aside for a second. Wasn't that great for her, knowing that she couldn't have kids?
It was. And like he said,
that in her life, like to accept it and to be okay and to love that baby.
Yes. And remember, in the end, even at the funeral, he said they didn't spend much time together, but the love that he has experienced in that short amount of time was amazing.
Girl, don't make me start crying again. I told you I done cried through this book.
Okay? And since Tom Lady brought that up, I thought that it
was good.
The eulogy was,
oh my God.
was a great if so I wanted to ask you guys how you felt about the ending of the book, but I'm going to bypass that question and then I'm going to jump right into the eulogy, because the
You have 10
eulogy
minutes.
was the actual ending of the book. And I think that was so well written that
The
I hope
eulogy,
somebody gets up and can, I'm going to leave a letter for my people too.
girl, that was
I'm
something,
going
because
to do that.
Mandy, she left that letter thinking she was going to die of cancer.
With the
Yes,
cancer.
ma'am.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
did. But
Yeah.
that letter was already ready. It was written.
Yeah.
It was on the table. And I feel like,
Broken
oh my
clocks,
God,
broken clocks,
I'll drink to that.
I'll
broken
drink to
clocks.
that, even though, I don't have anything. My cup empty now. I'm about to go get one though, 'cause we're gonna wrap this up. And in the closing of this conversation for the book review, I just want to say, I appreciate all the contribution to today's discussion. And, it's always a pleasure to be able to share our perspectives. It's so encouraging to see how one read the same story and figure out how the meaning means
Have
so
different perspectives.
much to each other.
Yes.
And I look forward, to the next reading and the next meeting. And happy reading to everyone. I know Jay's turn to select our book. She better come with it. You know what I'm saying? She better be ready. She already told me she's been hyping herself up to figure out the right one. So we're going to want something. We're expecting it, and I want to see it. And Tanya, I'll see you on Sunday for the Divas personal book club review for this book. And I love you, girl.
Yo, in closing, my good people, let me tell you something. This was the best conversation ever. I'm so happy I went live for the first time on TikTok. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Tamia. Thank you, Mandy. All my divas. If y'all didn't know, all divas joined this call tonight. It was so well worth it. And next month, it should be better. And I almost had a different perspective, and we'll talk about it next month. Join this call because I think it's necessary sometimes. Thank you all. Mandy, closing words.
Thank you for being a part of the Divas Book Club review of Broken Clocks by Danielle Allen. Have a good evening.
Good evening. Bye.
Bye.